Hello my fellow muggles, welcome back to my channel for another Harry Potter themed video. Today I just wanted to talk about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It's now performing at the Princess Theatre in Melbourne. If you haven't got tickets, you should go get some. I'll link things down in the bottom for you to go check out. Last year when it was announced the play was coming to town, I got really excited, and then when I bought tickets I wanted to get opening night as close to opening night as possible. I really wanted to go on opening night because I thought that would be so much fun. You know, a lot of people would be dressing up and all of that stuff. But I didn't get that, and then so the next thing I wanted to do was get close to January the 28th, which is my birthday, so it was like a birthday present to myself. So I went on January 24th, which was a Thursday, and January 25th, which was a Friday, because it is a two-part show. So last year I read for the first time Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the special rehearsal edition script, and that was the first time I read it. I put it off for a while, but when the show was announced and I bought tickets and all of that stuff, I knew I needed to get on it and start reading it so I knew what was going on. Then it came around to January and I wanted to refresh my mind with what was going on with the play. So I read the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child revised edition that is generally used for the plays now. In case you didn't know, if you were wanting to buy the books, these two have differences in them. Some of the stuff in this book was edited out of this book. I read part 1 before part 1 and part 2 before part 2. So it was very clear in my mind what was going on in the book. That was both, I guess, a positive and negative. I'm happy that I read the book because I really wanted to know what was going on. But by reading the book, I'd spoiled basically all of the surprises for myself. I'd also gone into it with expectations of how it was read in my mind. So I kind of read it like it was a movie. It was playing like a movie in my mind, and I wasn't going to go see a movie, I was going to go see a play, and those two are different types of formats for telling stories. And because of that, part 1 I struggled with a little bit at the beginning because I just felt disconnected from it because I saw it as a movie in my mind, but then it was obviously acted as a play. So that was my fault entirely for having these expectations before going in. And you get that if you read the book because you know what's going on beforehand. You really have to think about if you want to read the book beforehand so you know what's going on in the play, and it's like you're keeping up with it in your mind and you're like reciting words with them, so it's kind of like a connection that way. Or if you don't want to and you want to be really surprised by the show. When I was seeing part 2, there were people behind me that after Act 3 were saying, oh, I didn't realize this until this moment just happened right now. At that point in time, I didn't think anybody there who was seeing it hadn't read the book. And obviously that's a stupid idea because there will be obviously people who haven't read it and people who have read it. In that moment, I was just like, oh. It'd also be a very interesting experience to go see this show without reading the book because you'd be very in the moment and not knowing what's coming next. And so that gives you a whole element of surprise. It also can be a negative because then if you don't end up liking the story, it could ruin it for you. And I feel like there are parts in the play that you don't understand unless you've read the script. So some things are very subtle. Sometimes there are differences between this book and what was actually said in the play, and I'm just like, oh, that's confusing. I don't know why they got rid of X because it explains Z, you know? So you really have to think about if you want to read the book, if you don't want to read the book, if you want to read the book before the play, if you want to read the book after the play, you know? It's both a different experience. I was personally happy with having read the book before the play, but at the same time I knew I lost a little bit of the magic because I knew where to look and when to look at certain things because I knew it was coming. So that was the struggle that I had with part 1, is that I had expectations from the book and the play didn't work out that way. But I also loved how William McKenna played Scorpius. He is just absolutely brilliant. I read the character different in my mind, but I preferred how I saw it was played. Like, it was very kind of light, comic, very awkward, very, like, I found that very relatable to me because, like, I'm a very awkward person, and that character was very awkward, and he was just a very enjoyable character to watch. Okay, I'm not even going to pronounce his last name because I will slaughter it. I like Sean. I'll put his name here so you can know. I really enjoyed Sean as Albus Severus Potter. He, personally, to me, was a hard character to play because he's kind of, like, annoying. It kind of reminds me of Harry when it is the Order of the Phoenix. He's just angry and he doesn't know what's going on, and it leads to, like, all of these bad decisions. So it's kind of like similar to that, like, father kind of son. When reading the book, I'm just like, okay, I can see how this can work as a movie, but how does all of this magic come to life as a play? And that's what is brilliant about this show, is that they make it all look like it's real. I had a friend who went to a different night. She was sitting up in, like, the balcony area. When I went to my show, I was sitting down on the stalls, down the very front, right near the front of the stage. So we both had different viewpoints. And she said she couldn't really see anything up there. I was closer, so I could see a little bit of how the magic was happening, but honestly, it looked so real to me, most, like, 95% of the time, that I didn't even see, like, you know, the strings or whatever that was making it happen. So it is very magical, it is brilliant, there's, like, scary moments that you don't expect, and it's just incredible what the production has done with their costume design, their lighting, their everything. I wish I could have seen this as a kid, because it would have blown my mind with how magical it was, how scary it was, how just... I had a few problems with a bit of the acting at some points. I just didn't feel connected to it in a certain way. Obviously, that's once again because I read the lines, and in my mind it should have been delivered a certain way, but to them, I guess the actor, they felt inspired to do it a different way, or someone else. So that's just, I guess, artistic creative difference. I got over it in the end. Part 1 is a little bit fast and a little bit slow because at the start, you're just kind of quickly jumping through all of the years because the main part of the story happens in Albus's and Sulpicius's 3rd year at school. So then you just quickly work through the whole backstory, which is a little too fast as a play, but if you're reading it as a script, it makes sense. Then it kind of starts to go a little bit slower. I didn't feel as connected to it. I felt the first part it eventually builds up to somewhere, like, really amazing, like at the end of, you're just like, oh, why does this have to stop? I just want to see it right now. And some of the acting I didn't feel the emotional connection to it. I felt like some of it, like when they're like laughing, it looked a little bit fake, like the jokes didn't, like when they're laughing and telling jokes, it didn't seem quite natural, quite organic, and that was something that I could pick out. And if someone was about to make a mistake or it looked like they forgot their line and they paused or stalled for time just to remember their line, it was easy for me to pick out because I had just read the book again. So it was fresh in my mind. Part 2 came along and I enjoyed Part 2, I think, a lot more than I enjoyed Part 1. I loved Part 1, but I think I just adored Part 2. I felt like it went so quick. I couldn't even believe that it would have been the same amount of time that it was for Part 1, because I just felt like I was there 1 second and the next minute it was over, and I was like, oh no, this is so sad. But it was just a really, really good show. I don't want to put any spoilers in here. There are some surprising moments at the very end of, like, when it builds up to, like, the end of the show or to an intermission. There are some surprising things that you should keep your eye out for. Some standout performances that I would like to say is Gillian Cosgrove as Moaning Myrtle. Oh my god, that woman is hilarious. It's just so funny, it's so awkward, it's so sexual with Moaning Myrtle, like, just, like, putting herself on people and then just like, oh, please don't. She had the crowd laughing hysterically. I'm butchering all of these names, sorry. Lucy Golby as Ginny Weasley, like, oh my god, that woman can act. She does this thing with, like, emotional distress that you just connect to it. At least I personally did. Like, there are these moments where she's just upset, her character's upset, and she's just expressing it in a way you're just like, yep, I'm with you, girl. I see you and I want to cry because I'm feeling your pain too. And that's just an incredible talent as an actor to make like the person in the audience feel what your character is feeling. Like I said, Sean did an amazing job at Albus. He really kind of suited and fit the role. Can I just say, Jessica Vickers is just drop dead gorgeous. Like, oh my god, I wish I looked as good as her. I wish I looked like half as good as her. She's just a natural beauty. She has such a beautiful face. She is such a like a nice girl to talk to. I am just in love with her. I wish I was her. Unfortunately, I am not. So, she did a great job playing Polly Chapman, as well as some supporting roles in the show. Yeah, she's really enjoyable to watch. Very standout. Hannah Waterman has a very believable, you know, Madame Hooch, Petunia, and Dolores Umbridge. She's a very, very incredible woman. Like, I believed those characters. She just knew what she was doing and just executed it. And obviously William McKenna as Scorpius. He is my favorite. He was just brilliant. I love him so much. I could not say a bad thing about him because he just captured the show for me. He had audiences laughing at all of his awkwardness. He'd put his like whole body into the performance and it was just brilliant. I would really recommend you go check out the show. Take into consideration if you want to read the book or not. It could make a vital difference to how you experience the show. I didn't want to give any spoilers away here, but I did write a blog on my feelings of part 1 and part 2. I wrote them immediately after I saw them and then posted them up. I will link everything down below here if you would like to read them and get a little bit more in detail with them. It's a 2-page blog. I put the general introduction on page 1 and anything that is spoiler related on page 2. I didn't want it to be easily accessible or ruined because you do want to keep you don't want to ruin the experience or the show for everyone. It's, you know, hashtag keep the secrets. It's an amazing show for all ages, for people. I will say it is suited more for people who have an understanding of Harry Potter. If you don't, you're probably going to be a little bit lost in it because there isn't a building backstory for Hermione, Ron, all of those things. There's a backstory between the characters, but the characters have already been established in previous 7 books, so they don't waste time rehashing all of that. In that case, I would say read the books beforehand. I just can't explain how they've done what they've done and made it look so realistic. It's just magical in itself. Like I said, I really recommend you should go see it. I love it. I think I'm actually going to go back and see it again because it was just everything. I didn't want to talk about too much of what actually happens in the show. I've left that to my blog. I just wanted to share what I did like, what a few of my problems were, and maybe that'll help you before you go see the show, or if you help you in deciding if you want to see the show or not. That was all. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, do whatever makes you feel good, and I will see you when I see you.